Some fights just feel unwinnable right from the start. The odds are stacked against you, the challenge feels enormous, and winning, that seems like a total long shot. So what do you do? What do you do when you're staring down a battle you're pretty sure you can't win? Let's dive into that. I mean, who hasn't, right? It's that awful feeling of being completely cornered, where every door you try is locked, and every path looks like a dead end. It's a feeling as old as time, and believe it or not, an ancient story from the epic Mahabharata gives us this incredible way of looking at it. So picture this, the Chakravyuh. On the battlefield, it was this terrifying spinning wheel of death made of thousands of soldiers, all moving in a pattern designed to be unbreakable. Once you were in, getting out was next to impossible. And it's just the perfect metaphor for those moments in our own lives, isn't it? A sudden health crisis, a financial disaster, a devastating loss, they all feel like a maze with no exit. To really get a handle on how to navigate our own unwinnable fights, we're going to look at the story of a very young warrior who had no choice but to enter this exact labyrinth. And here he is. Meet Abhimanyu. I mean, look at this lineage. His father was Arjuna, maybe the greatest archer who ever lived, and his uncle was Krishna. So yeah, you could say heroism was literally in his blood. The story goes that while Abhimanyu was still in his mother's womb, he was listening as his father, Arjuna, explained the secret to breaking into the Chakravyuh. But right as Arjuna was about to explain how to get out, his mother fell asleep. And just like that, Abhimanyu was left with only half the answer, a fateful, incomplete piece of knowledge that would seal his destiny.
And in the massive Kurukshetra war, Abhimanyu was an absolute prodigy. Fearless. He took on legendary warriors and was racking up these huge victories. But then came the 13th day. His enemies were getting desperate, and they decided to unleash their ultimate weapon, the Chakravyuh.
And of course, in a calculated move, his father, the one person who really knew how to handle this thing, was lured to a totally different part of the battlefield. The hope of the entire army suddenly fell on the shoulders of a 16-year-old kid. He knew how to get in, he had no idea how to get out. But did he hesitate? Not for a second. He charged right in.
Once he was inside, the trap slammed shut. The allies who had promised to follow him in were cut off, leaving him utterly and completely alone to face not one, not two, but 7 of the enemy's absolute greatest warriors.
And we're not talking about just any soldiers. These were the heavy hitters, the living legends of war. In what was a massive violation of the rules of combat, which said you only ever fight one-on-one, all 7 of them attacked him at the same time. They shattered his bow, killed his horses, and smashed his chariot to pieces. Totally disarmed and alone, what does he do? He picks up a broken chariot wheel and uses it as a shield, as a weapon, fighting with every last ounce of strength he had. He was hopelessly outnumbered, totally exhausted, but he fought until his very last breath. He died a hero, right there in the heart of the maze.
Abhimanyu's story is just this incredible tragedy of courage, right? But what happens next? That's where the real lesson is hiding. It's all about how we deal with a loss that feels fundamentally unfair, a loss that just completely guts you.
So when Arjuna gets back to camp and finds out his son has been killed, he is just shattered. It's not just sadness, it's a total collapse. His world just ends. He is filled with so much rage and despair he wants to quit the war, abandon his duty, just throw it all away. And it's in this moment of raw, unbelievable pain that his guide, Krishna, offers him this one crucial piece of advice. He doesn't say, don't be sad. He doesn't say, get over it. He says, do not lament. And you know what? The difference between grieving and lamenting, that's everything. This brings us to a really core idea for how to handle life's biggest challenges. It's a concept called nishkama karma.
It's this idea of doing the right thing without being attached to the outcome. You do your duty simply because it is your duty. Think about it. Abhimanyu is the perfect example of this. He knew going into the Chakravyuh was basically a death sentence, but he did it anyway. Not for glory, not even for survival, but because it was his duty. And that same philosophy is the key to understanding how to deal with the aftermath.
So what Krishna was telling Arjuna was this: grieve, absolutely, but do not lament. See, grieving is a process. It's an action. It hurts like hell, yeah, but it moves. It lets you feel the wound, and then you start to heal, carrying that memory forward with you. Lamenting, though, that's not a process. That's a prison. It traps you in the past, making you replay the what-ifs and the whys over and over again, building this wall that cuts you off from your own future.
Okay, so that sounds good in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do we turn that destructive lamenting into something productive, like grieving? Well, this philosophy actually gives us a really practical, 3-step way to think about it.
Okay, so first, we deal with that huge question: what happened to them? The wisdom here is that the soul is eternal. The body is gone, yes, but the person, their essence, is not. They're safe. Second, you have that terrible feeling that they can't love us anymore. Well, the idea here is that all love comes from one single divine source. The person you lost was a beautiful channel for that love, and while that specific channel is gone, the source of love itself never ever runs dry. And third, the pain that we can no longer love them. This is where nishkama karma comes back in. We can turn our love into action. We perform selfless deeds, acts of kindness, and we dedicate them to the spirit of the person we've lost.
And this might be the most powerful way to think about healing. The point isn't to pretend the hole isn't there, or to desperately try to fill it back in. The loss is real. That space they left is real. The way forward is to let your heart grow larger around that hole. You expand your capacity for love and for life, integrating that loss into a new, stronger, and more compassionate version of you.
So in the end, this incredible story, it's not just about some ancient battle. It's about every single unwinnable fight we will ever face. Because life is absolutely going to throw its own labyrinths at you, its own impossible odds. The real question isn't about whether you'll win or lose. It's about how you choose to fight, and, maybe even more importantly, how you choose to heal.
In this moment of stillness, breathe deeply and connect with the eternal source of compassion that flows through all things. Subscribe Bhakti Unlimited and uncover the life-changing secrets of the Bhagavad Gita. Let Krishna's wisdom guide your journey.